No animals, no survivors, and no clear cause of death. The year was 1959. In the frozen wilderness of the Ural Mountains, 9 experienced Soviet hikers vanished. They never came back. When search teams arrived, they found the group's tent ripped open from the inside, abandoned. No blood, no signs of struggle, just footprints. Bare feet, leading into the snow. Then the bodies began to appear, scattered in the trees, half-dressed, with broken ribs, fractured skulls, and no outward wounds. One woman was missing her tongue. The final report? Classified, sealed for over 30 years. No one could explain what happened that night. Not the army, not the scientists, not even the KGB. This is the Dyatlov Pass Incident. And more than 60 years later, the mystery still refuses to die. The 9 who never returned. They weren't soldiers, they weren't spies, they were students. 9 young men and women, smart, strong, full of promise. All of them from the Ural Polytechnical Institute. All of them trained in mountaineering. And all of them trusted each other with their lives. Igor Dyatlov, 23 years old, the group leader. Disciplined, brilliant, respected. He planned every step of the route with military precision. Zinaida Kolmogorova, energetic, fearless. She once fought off a wolf with a ski pole. Yuri Doroshenko, tough, proud. He had survived freezing temperatures in the past, wearing nothing but his underwear. Lyudmila Dubinina, serious, thoughtful. She believed in truth above everything and kept detailed notes in her diary until the very end. Rustem Slobodin, a long-distance runner, quiet but always smiling. He pushed himself and others to go further. Alexander Kolevatov, calm, analytical, formerly worked with radioactive materials. He knew how to keep his cool. Yuri Krivonishenko, funny, musical. He played the mandolin around campfires to lift morale on the coldest nights. Nikolai Thibault-Brignol, a rising star. Strong, charismatic, with a French noble surname. He was a natural leader, had he lived. And finally, Semyon Zolotaryov, the outsider, older than the rest. A World War II veteran with tattoos no one could explain. No one knew why he joined, but he was there on that mountain when it mattered. 9 people, each with their own story, each with their own future, but they all boarded the same train on January 23, 1959, heading into the frozen wilds with plans to return in just 3 weeks. They never did. The final march. January 23, 1959. The group boards the train from Sverdlovsk. Laughter, journals, mandolin music in the background. It's cold, but spirits are high. They're heading for Mount Otorten, a remote peak in the northern Urals. The name means don't go there in the local Muncie language. But the group? They go anyway. For them, this is just another challenge, a test of endurance, a chance to earn their Grade 3 hiking certification, the highest in the Soviet system. January 27th. They reach the last village, Vize. Locals see them buying bread and smiling for one last photo. This will be the last place anyone sees them alive. January 28th. Yuri Yudin, the 10th member, falls ill. He says goodbye, waves at the departing group. His bad back spares him from the fate ahead. The other 9 continue forward. February 1st. They set up camp on the eastern slope of Kolatsiakl, the mountain of the dead. But why stop there? They could have gone further down into the forest, where it's more sheltered. Some say they lost daylight, others say they wanted to practice winter survival techniques on open ground. Whatever the reason, they pitched the tent on that cold, exposed slope. They cooked, they wrote in their journals. They took a final photograph, smiling, even as night closed in. That night, something happened. No one knows exactly what, but what's certain is that they never made it out alive. The search begins. February 12th, 1959. The group was supposed to send a telegram by now, but there's nothing. No word. No signal. No one comes home. At first, no one panics. Delays are common in the mountains. Maybe they were slowed by weather. But as days pass, concern grows. February 20th. Relatives demand answers. A volunteer search team is formed. Students, teachers, rescue workers. Then the Soviet military joins. They send planes, helicopters, dogs. Searchers scan the snow-covered hills, dig through drifts, follow broken trees and faint traces. For days, they find nothing. Just wind, silence, and white. February 26th. They spot it. A canvas tent, half buried on the slope of Kolatsiakl. It's collapsed, torn. Something's wrong. The tent has been cut open from the inside, slashed with knives. No one is inside, but they find footprints, bare feet, socks, one single boot, leading away into the woods. 1.5 kilometers downslope, they find the first two bodies, Yuri Doroshenko and Georgy Krivonishenko, shoeless, shirtless, lying beneath a cedar tree, frostbitten, hands burned as if they tried to light a fire. Above them, the tree has broken branches, as if someone had climbed it in panic, or tried to escape something. 3 more bodies are found between the tree and the tent, Dyatlov, Kolmogorova, Slobodin. They were crawling back toward the camp, all face down, all in the snow, all dead from hypothermia. One has a fractured skull, but no bruises, no blood. The rest of the group is missing. For now. The bodies in the snow. For 2 more months, the mountains stayed silent. The remaining 4 hikers were nowhere to be found. Then the snow began to melt. May 4th, 1959. Rescuers discover a ravine. It's deeper in the woods, just over 75 meters from the cedar tree. Under nearly 4 meters of snow, they find a den. Inside, the last 4 bodies. Lyudmila Dubinina, Semyon Zolotaryov, Alexander Kolevatov, Nikolai Thibault-Brignol. But these weren't simple deaths. These weren't from cold alone. One skull, crushed, ribs, shattered, inward, like from an explosion. But no external bruising, no skin broken, no sign of struggle. Dubinina's chest was crushed, her tongue was missing, her eyes gone. Her body was found face down, mouth open, as if she had screamed into the snow, and no one answered. Zolotaryov, the war veteran, was found with his camera around his neck, but no film inside. His eyes were missing too, his skull fractured, but his skin untouched. The medical team couldn't explain it. They noted the force required to do this would be comparable to a car crash. Yet the skin was intact. No cuts, no bruises. No one, not even in combat, had seen injuries like this, without a fight. Why were they separated? Why didn't they return to the tent? Why were they almost naked in a freezing forest? None of it made sense. And still, the snow kept its secrets. The report and the silence. By May of 1959, all 9 hikers had been found. Autopsies were conducted. Dozens of pages were written. But what the report said only deepened the mystery. The official cause of death: a compelling natural force. That's all. No avalanche was recorded. No signs of a fight. No injuries consistent with any known trauma, except for the ones that looked like they came from inside the body. Some died from hypothermia, others from major internal injuries. But investigators never explained why the tent was cut from the inside, why there were no defensive wounds, why the hikers fled half-naked into a snowstorm. Radiation was found on 2 sets of clothing, but no explanation was given. The footprints showed they had walked calmly, not ran, as if they left willingly, but into certain death. No drugs, no alcohol, no toxins. Their diaries stopped abruptly. Their cameras were damaged. Their final photos, blurry, disorienting, nothing conclusive. And then, just 2 weeks after the last body was found, the case was closed, sealed, classified, filed away in a drawer no one could open. It would stay that way for over 30 years, until the Soviet Union itself began to collapse. Only then did the files begin to resurface, piece by piece, page by redacted page. And when they did, what they revealed wasn't just tragedy, it was silence, deliberate, calculated. The science of what might have happened. In the decades that followed, scientists, journalists, and skeptics all asked the same question. What happened that night, really? Was there a rational explanation? One that didn't need conspiracies or silence? Several theories emerged, all of them plausible, but none complete. The avalanche theory. The most common explanation: a slab avalanche, sudden, silent, deadly. Some say the hikers heard the snow shift, panicked, cut their way out of the tent to escape. But in the dark and cold, they became separated, disoriented, and froze to death. But critics point out the slope was too shallow, the tent wasn't buried, the footprints were intact, and the injuries? Too extreme for snow alone. Hypothermia and paradoxical undressing. Another theory says it was the cold itself. Extreme hypothermia can confuse the brain. Victims may feel they're overheating and strip off their clothes before dying. That could explain the partial nudity, the irrational behavior, the scattered bodies. But it doesn't explain the crushed ribs, the missing tongue, or the radiation. Infrasound panic. A newer theory. Some scientists believe high winds over the mountain could have created infrasound, low-frequency vibrations just below the threshold of human hearing. To the body, it feels like dread, pressure, an overwhelming sense of terror, with no source. Could that have triggered panic? Made trained hikers flee into the night, away from the tent, into the storm? Maybe, but again, no theory explains everything. Each answer raises more questions. Each possibility leaves something out. The snow, the injuries, the silence. Whatever happened, science alone hasn't cracked it. Not yet. The files they didn't want you to read. For over 30 years, the Dyatlov case was silent, buried beneath Soviet bureaucracy, stamped, sealed, forgotten. But when the Soviet Union collapsed, so did its walls. Pieces of the original investigation were finally made public. Scattered reports, faded photographs, and a few redacted pages. Questions began to rise, not just about the hikers, but about the people investigating them. Why was the military involved within days? Why were officers from the KGB present at recovery sites? Why was radiation found and never explained? Some claim the hikers had stumbled into a weapons test, that the mountain wasn't just snow and trees, but a testing ground for new technologies. One report mentions bright orbs in the sky, seen by other hiking groups that same night. Another speaks of a military helicopter with no insignia landing nearby in the days after the discovery. But those reports were either lost or quietly retracted. Then there's Semyon Zolotaryov, the oldest hiker, a war veteran, covered in strange tattoos. His military background was more classified than anyone admitted. Some believe he was not just a hiker, that he was assigned to observe something or someone, but no records confirm it. No official admits it, and when researchers requested his original autopsy files, they were told they no longer exist. Why would a simple hiking tragedy need state secrets? Why redact weather reports? Why assign counterintelligence? Unless it wasn't just a tragedy. Unless it touched something deeper, something the government couldn't allow to surface. The theories that never died. When facts don't add up, theories begin to fill the silence. Over the decades, many have tried to explain Dyatlov, not with evidence, but with possibility. Some are wild. Some are not so far-fetched. The military test theory. Some believe the hikers walked into a weapons experiment gone wrong. Radioactive elements were found on clothes. Autopsy reports were vague, and most damning of all, the site was quickly shut down. Could it have been parachute mines, high-pressure shockwaves, enough to crush bones from the inside without leaving a mark on the skin? Military testing was common in the Urals, but no documents confirm a test near Kolatsiako, or if they did exist, they're gone now. The UFO theory. Other witnesses from nearby hiking groups reported strange orange lights in the sky that night. No sound, no heat, just movement. Some say the injuries were too strange, too specific to be natural. Burned hands, missing tongues, eyes gone, bodies rearranged. It didn't look like nature. It looked surgical. But again, no proof, no footage, just stories. The Mansi involvement? A theory long discredited. Some accused the Mansi people, the local indigenous group, of attacking the hikers for trespassing on sacred land. But the Mansi left no tracks. They helped in the rescue effort and had no history of violence. This theory, many now believe, was born from prejudice, not fact. The secret sound. Some physicists point to infrasound, low-frequency waves that humans can't hear but can feel. Wind moving through the pass might have created a pressure resonance, causing nausea, panic, confusion, the kind of panic that drives people out of tents, barefoot, into the snow. It's elegant, it's scientific, but it still doesn't explain the crushed skulls. And so we circle, again and again, around a mystery that won't let go. Each theory explains something, but none explain everything. And maybe that's the most terrifying part. The snow remembers. 9 young people went into the mountains. They were smart, skilled, strong. They built a tent, wrote in their journals, laughed, took photos. Then, something happened. Something we still can't name. 60 years later, we have bones. We have torn canvas. We have crushed ribs, missing eyes, shattered skulls. We have no witnesses, no final words, only silence. Their families were told it was a natural force, an avalanche, a gust of wind, a mistake, but the files were sealed, the photos were hidden, and the questions were buried beneath the snow. The mountain kept their bodies, the storm took their voices, and the world moved on. But something stayed behind, something cold, unfinished, watching. We may never know what truly happened that night, but we remember them, not just for how they died, but for how far they climbed. 9 names, etched in ice, carried by wind. And when the snow falls over Dyatlov Pass, it falls quietly, like a secret that refuses to melt. We'll never know exactly what happened that night. Not the full truth, not all of it. Maybe it was nature, brutal, indifferent, unforgiving. Maybe it was human, secretive, calculated, buried in silence. Or maybe it was something we don't yet have words for. But this much is certain. 9 people walked into that storm, not as victims, but as explorers. They chased a goal, not glory, and they paid a price no one ever expected. Whatever happened on that mountain, they didn't run from fear. They faced it. And in doing so, they left behind something we can't let go. A question, one that still echoes across snow and time. What do you think happened out there? Was it the cold, the science, the silence, or something we were never meant to understand? Leave your thoughts below. I read every comment, and if stories like this speak to you, stories that aren't fiction, but feel like they could be, then this is just the beginning. Subscribe to Dark Hidden History, because there are more stories waiting. Forgotten ruins, lost cities, files that were never meant to be opened. Some things don't stay buried forever. Sometimes, the silence speaks.
More stories they tried to erase.